that route as well. It does give them that global pressure, and JDG, I think, have been one of the best teams in Ascend at being able to leverage that global pressure as insane, I guess...
Wide.
Whoa.
Wide Karma.
Yeah, wide...
All right.
Wide Karma. So
you know what? Karma deserves that, though, Quacks. Karma has been permanently banned through so many first phases. We've seen it rarely come through. So to get that one on top, I don't hate it. And it is a big pick here. You know, this, I'm kind of with this. I'm going to see my golden child. Wide Ezreal, yeah, come across here. Everybody's getting to go wide on the
Everyone goes
graphical update for the LPL. But we see the Rise Ezreal as the turn for Team WE. I'm liking a lot of these picks early on, Quacks. I don't see anything that necessarily is like, I don't see how it gels. I don't see how they're powerful champions. Both these teams are eating good so far.
Yeah, no, there hasn't been anything too unorthodox so far that I've seen. I mean, Vera's Band Away does remove another decent pairing with the Ashe, so I am wondering what exactly they're planning to give Gala in this game. But yeah, there's the Nocturne that we talked about, just giving you that global pressure. I wouldn't be surprised at all if WE just decide to slam maybe a Pantheon on 3, but then you deny yourself a pairing with Ezreal, which
so that's my question.
I do think will be banned away. So it's a question of what WE want to prioritize. Do you want to try and match JunJia in the global presence, or do you really want to give a reliable pairing over to about a player who, like we said, is probably one of the key things that WE need to start playing around within these games, because he just hasn't really had, I feel, the protection necessary to thrive in any of the matches that WE have played so far. As we do see the Caitlyn lock-in, so just increasing that range a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not surprised about this. I think Nico would probably be, like, if you wanted more range, that would be the obvious pickup. But if you want to try and shorten the range, I think Nautilus is the obvious answer. Does give you that lockdown, and paired up with the Rise, like, this Ezreal should be hitting a lot of these Mystic shots in the open areas. So far, I think that we have a pretty good 1 through 3 here for Team WE. I expect the Pantheon to be banned. I do think that this team lacks a little bit of early oomph with their draft. So
that was my thing, yeah.
If Xin Zhao is maybe open, you could try and grab something like that. Pantheon, again, I'm still going to advocate for this champion. If you wanted to go really spicy, I think Nefiri could actually be a good champ because of the amount of lockdown you have. It means that you can single out a specific member and easily get those resets. But I don't know if Monki is necessarily going to be that bold.
Yeah, so I think the early game is kind of a problem here because I think Ezreal needs to thrive early lane in most of his matchups. With Nautilus, both of them are kind of going to suffer into Caitlyn Karma. Trundle ban, though, as we kind of come back to present for a second here from JDG. Does that signal to you, Quacks, that Xiaoxu likely wants to try and maybe slam a Sion, play an Ornn or a Cassante game here blind?
No, I absolutely think that if Team WE are... Well, it's interesting because, like, Cube is the tank guy in Ascend, so are they assuming that Cube is going to go something more aggressive here? I think it is strange.
Maybe they're going to blind one of his tanks and dare him to try and beat Xiaoxu. I mean, because we know Cube isn't very reliable off of his, like, very small pool we trust him on. There's the Pantheon ban, though.
So, yep, so we do see the Pantheon ban. I mean, like, Xin Zhao is still available. I think that it's very easy to capitalize off that Wind Become Lightning. We also do see the Vi hover. Wouldn't hate that, but oh, there's the Nefiri. Like, we get the lockdown from the Nautilus. We have the lockdown from the Rise. It means your resets are very easy, but it puts a lot of pressure on Monki to perform. Like we said, the captain has to be the guy leading the charge, and he will not do it on the Daug. He will do it on a champion that is dead in the lore. So Xin Zhao going to be the pickup here. Let's rub it in actually a little bit more that he is actually factually dead, and let's just go Zahen.
Well, but he's also factually alive. It's like a weird, weird scenario,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
it's like a... Well, hey, speaking of a guy who died and then got resurrected, that's exactly how.
And another guy who died and got resurrected too.
And then there's this, yeah, we're just picking all these champions. All right, Cassiopeia will shut down our lore line of thinking with this draft. But what a blind there from no, that's not a blind. HongQ's gonna pick up the Cassio to try and shut down the arcane shift ability, the dash ability of the Xin Zhao, and of course to try and tussle with the Rise early.
I'm actually surprised that wasn't an Anivia. Against Nautilus and Rise, like, that is the premier counter to both of these champions. So Cassiopeia kind of signals to me that HongQ wants to be a little bit more aggressive in the laning phase, maybe wants to call the attention of JunJia and Vampire over to his lane just to shut down Karis as soon as possible, as we do see the Scion locked
Classic.
in here for Cube. So the man will get his comfort champion here in game number 1. It's a decent matchup into Xiaoxu. This is going to be fun because both of these top laners are on, I think, probably their most memorable champions. Cube with his Scion, and then Xiaoxu with his Renekton, who I know some people have gone as far as to say that this guy might be one of the best Renektons in the entire world. So,
wow.
I think that will be interesting if he can do a good job against Cube here in the 1v1. But looking at these matchups holistically and just looking at the comps holistically, I am looking at JunJia and I am looking at Monki. Both of these junglers are going to be forced to kind of lead a lot of these engages, and I think that the follow-up from Team WE and JDG respectively is going to have to be as potent as possible. So I'm looking at both of them. I think that this is a important jungle matchup that we have here. Obviously, Xin Zhao has the opportunity to be a bit more proactive, isn't necessarily as reliable, or isn't as reliant, I should say, on level 6 as a character like Nocturne. So if he can, you know, kind of hit the ground running, if Monki can really influence these lanes, even as small as something like burning a flash, I think that could be something Team WE can gravitate toward, grab onto, and maybe squeeze an advantage from there. But it's got to come from him. It's got to come from the captain. And yeah, I'm going to be the optimist on this Cast Slayer. You could be the pessimist, and we can have like a good cop, bad cop kind of dynamic here for Team WE's potential first win.
Here we are, onto the Rift. Team WE up against JDG with that big looming loss streak hovering over Team WE. Wow, you know what? That was like almost ceremonious united Jaios for both squads. And good to hear everyone showing up nice and early for the Super Saturday set here, as we'll have a long day of games going forward. We are on to the Rift nonetheless. Minions are waging their first battles of many here. And as we take a look at the lane matchups a bit longer in HongQ, you know, on point, getting a decent trade there into Karis. Quacks, what I want to talk about a bit as we got into this game is how much just early lane threat it feels like JDG have across the map. And I want to ask you how beneficial that is as a Nocturne that just really wants to power farm to level 6.
I mean, it basically guarantees that you won't get invaded, right? You're not going to be pressured in your own jungle. That doesn't necessarily mean that the lanes themselves won't be pressured. So I do think that JunJia has to be on the lookout for tracking what Monki wants to do, because like we said, Monki wants to get onto the map. He has the advantage over the Nocturne, at least pre-level 6, so he's got to make the most of it. And we can already see maybe he's trying to get a cheeky little level 3 gank here, but there's a ward in that bush.
Yeah, looks like we'll see if Monki does decide to stick this recall and just reset towards the top side of the map. He's going to cancel it, and he's going to immediately be spotted here, but Gala!
Oh, Gala!
Oh my god, what was that net from Gala? There's got to be a pause, right? There's got to be a pause.
He's saying in his mind, worth, because Monki did not get the assist. Jungle death. Wow, that was... a net of all time from Gala for sure.
He also burns barrier.
Yeah.
So like once you net backwards, Quacks, like you just gotta let. Do we really need to replay this? I mean, it's just an int. I mean, what am I supposed to say here?
So he
oh my.
And he took the auto, so he
Why
got
does he
hit
barrier? Why barrier?
I have no idea. It's just like it's muscle memory, you know. So Gala barriers, but now we're on to the top side. Monki is level 3, JunJia is level 4, and there's Prio for JDG on this top side as well, so Monki's going to be forced to concede this crab, even though that kill went over as Karis falls very low. Poison almost kills him. HongQ utilizing the potency of this Cassiopeia pick early very effectively, and now JunJia is just in Monki's face, so JDG are kind of suffocating Team WE everywhere else around the map.
Well, this has definitely been their strength as of late. The top side dominance is Monki does have flash. He's going to have to use it, go right under turret. Good spell shield call out there from you, Quacks, but JunJia is just going to turn his attention right back over to stealing these camps away. Monki is trying to get a little sneaky, see if he can work the long way back towards his Gromp. But the reset comes through here for Xiaoxu. He's TPing right back into that pixel brush. JunJia will steal away that blue buff. Karis is there to try and make sure it's a little tough for him to walk out, but a good spell shield to get under the Rune Prism.
Oh.
He tries to challenge Karis. Does end up flashing. Karis burns his ghost to try and chase him down. So JunJia doesn't get to leave the enemy jungle unscathed. He loses that key summoner.
Both junglers losing their flashes, but Monki, crucially, has mobility without the flash. So if he finds an angle to try and abuse JunJia in his own jungle, then yeah, there's the correct direction to net. But maybe this opens up the door for Monki to look for something aggressively with that Nocturne not having that flash available. But so far it's been a very messy game. Monki is now onto the bot side. Maybe can look for something here. Gala, crucially, still has that flash, and that barrier is coming off of cooldown. So even though that first blood goes over to About, nothing of consequence has quite yet sprouted from it. I'm curious if we'll see a domino effect at some point, and maybe About can take over or win in a 2v2 with Arm.
Yeah. In the immediate, though, Xiaoxu gets access to that dominance first. Cube does not have Unstoppable Onslaught. He's able to shrug off most of the damage. Xiaoxu cannot walk up too close to Cube, or he will aggro the turret. So he's just trying to be a little bit pesky. Force Cube to think twice about every one of these CS he farms. Now that he drops the dominance, he can walk back up safely and take it 1, maybe even 2 plates here and put Cube in a pretty tough spot. So this is what we feel like has been the main catalyst for the JDG resurgence into form, Quacks. It is the solo lanes, and in game 1, at least Xiaoxu is holding up the end of the bargain to start.
Yep. On his main champion, no less. The champion I think a lot of people associate with him. JunJia is on the bot side now, though, and no camps available means that level 6 is going to be slightly delayed. You can see in the XP bar in the bottom left how close he is to actually hitting level 6 and having access to that paranoia. And once he does,
no camps.
There is a flashless Monki. There is also a flashless Arha, so there are some targets you can immediately snap engage onto. And so instead of waiting around for a camp, he's actually going to take advantage of this pushing wave and bot and just immediately start up this dragon. I love this. HongQ is super strong right now as well, so basically daring WE to walk into this bot side. They're not going to take the bait, and yeah, level 6 dinged, dragon unlocked, and JDG finally get their first inkling of an advantage here in game 1.
After the wacky open, they have now reclaimed a couple hundred gold shillings to their own side so far here, as HongQ is already back, just sinking Twin Fang combos into Karis, really establishing his dominance in this mid lane. Hasn't accrued a huge gold lead of his own just yet, but will definitely look to parry up with JunJia and that paranoia we've talked about already being available. Definitely sets up for a very powerful position. We see few teams get themselves into, Quacks, which is being able to get the first dragon, the first set of grubs, because JunJia will likely reset, get some more gold cashed in, and then with that paranoia, why can't this JDG topside play for grubs in 50 seconds?
One concern I do have is we see Arha starting to at least move closer toward that mid lane, maybe try and roam up with Monki to secure those grubs that we're talking about. Meanwhile, Vampire is kind of jailed at the current moment, so it might be difficult for the Karma to move. If WE have a numbers advantage around these grubs, maybe they can take their first objective of the game, but it seems like they are not too keen on rushing toward that top side. Monki instead going to look to try and steal away this blue, but JunJia is in the area, but first it's going to pit stop toward his wolves. Little does he know, Slayer, that pit stop is going to cause him to miss the big fish in his bot side jungle.
Well, and HongQ wasn't even expecting Monki to be there either. He thought he could clear out that ward before his pink drops, but spots Monki walking up, backsway from 2v1. Also alerts JunJia to the fact that his blue buff has been stolen. Petrifying gaze there. HongQ maybe looking to try and catch Karis on a turn, doesn't land it, but still establishes lane dominance, and you can look topside. Xiaoxu has Cube perma pinned under his turret, so JunJia's like, all right, these grubs are an easy pickup here. Monki looking for the response on the bot side. Yep. Oh, here it is, Realm Warp. All of a sudden, it's a 4 versus 2. Gala and company being dove under their turret, and it is clinical. Wind becomes lightning, connects in time. Vampire flashes to try and make sure Karis can't get this kill, but it will end up being a Q to the face nonetheless. Karis picks up both of those kills. So WE don't lose grubs for nothing.
Yeah, good reactive play there from Team WE. They understand that the grubs, like you said, are gone. There is no possible way for Cube to leave that lane, so the Renekton being too strong is just going to mean they make a cross-map play, get a double kill for Karis, and this is going to allow Karis to get closer to that Roa. And if nothing else, Slayer, this will make sure that he is better protected against the trades that HongQ is constantly laying into him. We've seen the harass from Cassiopeia in this game time and time again, so having that catalyst will make him at least a little bit tankier as JunJia.
He's going to get dredge line. Spell Shield doesn't really help him out there. He tries to turn the lights out here, but the depth charge to knock up Arha perfectly sets this one up, and, well, he felt good enough that he should cash the kill in. Nonetheless, it's another kill for WE. A 4-0 kill lead to open up their first 10 minutes of this game.
And, you know, Karis still does get the assist gold, so it's not like he is without at least a little bit of income there. We can say because of that play by Arha, Vampire is trying to look for damage onto a bout, but it looks like he just arcane shifts backwards and should be able to farm under this turret. So solid start here for Team WE. I mean, Karis, even though his laning up against HongQ hasn't been the most advantageous, as hold that thought. Monki is here.
Gets slowed. One slice, no dice. Has Dominus. Knocked up on double onslaught. He flashes just to get the Dominus off. And here comes JunJia. But he doesn't have paranoia, so he has to walk slowly to try and save his crop. But Wind becomes lightning, connects. And Monki has a 5th kill. Now JunJia on the 1 versus 2 wants to allow the tempo to try and get this kill. He's going to spell shield the unstoppable onslaught and cut Monki down. And he's able to walk out with that trade. Mid lane, Karis is getting pushed down Fang after Fang from HongQ. And he once again is forced to take a base here. JDG finally on the board with a kill, but it comes at the cost of a trade once again.
Yeah, but you can see Monki as well is going to get that first item. So Team WE in the 1-for-1, they get an item advantage because Monki got that kill initially. I think that he's done such a good job at being able to have his presence known on the map. Good gank, even though it was a 1-for-1 on that top side. And Karis as well, narrowly surviving the barrage of damage from HongQ, that catalyst coming in clutch like we said it would. This should also allow the Rise on this back to complete his Roa. So one item spikes coming through here from the mid and jungle of Team WE, just ahead of that dragon that should be coming up once we get past this replay. So I actually am really interested on what Xiaoxu was doing here. He held his flash for a really long time. He had reaction time to flash out of that ultimate. He flashed away from his jungler. JunJia didn't have paranoia, so it just kind of felt like Xiaoxu was disconnected from his jungler, made JunJia's life a little bit more difficult to securing this kill. He does inevitably secure with a good spell shield to cancel the knockup, but more difficult than it needed to be, in my opinion, and I think WE ultimately were the ones that got the better end of the trade by getting that 1-for-1.
Yeah, I'm with you, Quacks. Xiaoxu definitely could have played that a lot better. Also, holding his Dominus that long was head-scratching. Maybe not even have to flash his pop your Dominus. Nonetheless, the second Dragon was a point of emphasis for Team W to shut down the win con of stacking. Hex flash over the wall from Arha. Dredge line does not connect. Vampire feels confident now to step up. I don't know if they have the depth charge up. It has to be used defensively. Lights go out. JunJia's going to go after Arha. Cut him down to size. Gala has to flash away, though, for the response from Monki, as Karis will take down Gala. But Xiaoxu is TP'd in. HongQ trying to look for a big petrified gaze. He catches a bout in the middle of his Mystic Shot. Realm Orb does get Karis out, but on the other side, Monki is getting chased down, and revenge is as sweet as one more swing of his big blade from Xiaoxu. Slice forward, and there's the cue to find it. Great collapse there from JDG, and they're going to cast the Dragon in 2.
And this is exactly what we talked about, Slayer. We warned against Team WE, and around this 12 to 20 minute mark, their team fighting just falls apart. JDG get the fight when they get the Dragon, and now WE are back to square one. All of the hard work from Monki and all of the mistakes from JDG in this early game, frankly, completely circumvented by this one play. Teleport manages to be channeled here by Xiaoxu. Good engage initially there by JunJia as well. Team W are completely split, and the fight is just an absolute banger here for JDG. So they get the win, they get the Dragon, they get everything they could have possibly wanted, and Team WE, all of that hard work, it feels like, just comes crumbling down on them, as now JDG are the ones with a gold lead.
Only 500 though, and WE still feel pretty confident, looking for some of these cross-map plays. Arha and Karis looking to potentially dive a Dominus less Renekton and Xiaoxu, but they see JunJia covering. The wave hasn't gotten up to the turret just yet. Xiaoxu is about 8 seconds away from having dominance, so he completely cuts this wave down, and he can't get dove. Now it's just all about stealing camps away from JunJia. Monki is going to take away that red buff, nonetheless, on vision. Doesn't matter, but all this time, go ahead, Quacks, HongQ.
And look at what's happening. I mean, HongQ is getting a ton of gold. This Cassiopeia is getting super fed. They're going to be forced to channel a TP from Cube in order to respond. There's a Herald up in a minute, so if this Scion gets jailed under his turret, he's not going to be able to join up with them, and WE won't have a tank to really fight with them. So this just feels like a mistake by them, just overstaying on that top side. HongQ's going to get a bunch of gold. Cube is going to be forced to respond, but it doesn't feel like it's going to amount to anything because the turret goes down anyway.
And that's first turret gold over to HongQ as he opens up to a 600 gold lead, and this is the top side dominance we were trying to hype up here for JDG. All 3 members up significant amounts of gold. As JunJia will just cover for HongQ on this reset, as you called out. Should be right in line with this timer for that Hextech Drake. Or sorry, excuse me, Rift Herald. HongQ is actually going to cancel here to try and get another extra wave. Thought Monki might look to punish this, but he thinks the Rift Herald is more important.
And look at the control that JDG have over this top side. There's a bunch of wards kind of creeping in toward that river from their own top side. So they feel comfortable walking up a little bit further here. Really the big thing is going to be control over this mid wave. And Gala now with the Stormrazor, plus just the increased range of those autos from Caitlyn. That means that he's going to be able to shove it in quicker. It's going to make About kind of forced to play catch up, and now mid waves don't matter. We're both going to meet onto this topside river, and JDG just look like they are much stronger going into this fight, but Team WE, I feel, understand that they're bleeding out and really want to look for something to try and claw their way back into this game.
We've got the Res-Zero with Triforce done. About still in a very confident position. One of the things we missed in that replay of the one Drake fight was that About was out of mana for the entirety of that exchange. Gotta wonder what that looks differently like, but now with the blue buff, About can definitely tussle a lot harder than we saw in that last fight. As it is WE onto the Herald here. Trying to use About's range as a punish. As Karis can use the Realm Warp to drone back up with his team. He's not even walk into Xiaoxu, who is off to the side with HongQ in a flank, but JDG seem a bit apprehensive. The lights do go out. HongQ flashes. Nobody gets stunned by the Petrified Gaze, and the Crescent Guard knocks JunJia off of Monki. He turns his attention to Gala, who gets cut down to size. Vampire's next to fall, and Xiaoxu's flank doesn't result in anything. He dices back forward to try and find the kill onto Monki, but how strong is this Renekton? He finds none of the kills. HongQ can't get into the fight, and now JDG are completely withering as About picks up the double kill. JDG's fight was 2 split, and About punishes it to the tune of a triple kill.
Gala and Vampire get picked off. Team WE focus their attention onto the bot side of JDG. About is untouched. He's firing Mystic shots. They can't get to him. And Team WE win the fight. They will get the Herald. And they did it, Slayer! A 5v5 win fight here for Team WE. A beautiful dredge line. They flash into them. Xiaoxu is 2 split. He's trying to really make his presence known on the Renekton, but everyone is moving away from him. And here, you might be thinking, okay, the play might be turned around, but he doesn't get his Q off. He doesn't get that empowered slice off. He goes down. Team WE with a major fight win, and it comes from About. The Ezreal didn't take a lick of damage, and now Herald owned by WE, Dragon up in 5 seconds. JDG in a significant deficit. They're gonna maybe try and fight here. We see the TP here available for Xiaoxu. He's going for a reset, but it's being burned down.
I mean, the lights don't even go out before the Dragon's secured. Arha doing another good job of resisting JunJia. Monki flashed on top of him and gets him down. Petrified Gaze onto 2, does get a good stun. Xiaoxu with that big shield is going to jump on top of everybody again with dominance. But Karis gets himself out with the phase rush, and now WE have no more reason to fight. They have the man advantage, they have the Herald, and they are pressing everything into this mid-tier 1 turret.
Question is, can they get it around? A plate still remains, and it looks like JDG are going to concede it. So mid lane tier 1 owned here by Team WE. This will allow them to extend that vision line a lot more and kind of set up for some of these side lane picks. It also makes JDG being able to overload on a side a little bit more difficult. I think one way they could get back into this game is with JunJia, that chase down of the Nocturne, and now that level 2 ultimate, so you get the extended range. He's going to have a harder time being able to access that now, though, because of this mid lane tier 1 has gone down. So, Slayer, Team WE are kind of, oh god, I don't want to jinx it, but Team WE are showing some really clean League of Legends so far. 2.6k up, denied the soul point. Scaling is coming through here from both Karis and About. There's 2 items on Ezreal. There's almost the full stack of Roa for the Rise. Once they hit those breakpoints, they'll be even stronger than they currently are.
And most importantly, they are fighting on their own terms, like you talked about. They are staying grouped as 5 and looking for these front-to-backs, recognizing that Xiaoxu and JunJia are going to try and force them apart. But that is yet to really happen here, as the gold lead nearly cresting the 3,000 mark. And where can WE look to continue this pressure up? Well, first step can always be to knock down the last outer or tier 1 turret left in the game. That's what Karis and Monki are going to focus on. Baron's up in about 20 seconds, but WE aren't that far ahead to try and dance with the purple worm just yet.
Nope, not quite. If they get maybe a pick, they can look for it, but it seems like JDG understand their current situation and are playing really safe. You can see that HongQ is afraid to even walk up to his own tier 1 on that bot side because he is unsure of where Arha is on the map. That Nautilus could very easily just look for a cheeky little dredge line and set up this Cassiopeia to be hooked and roasted. So he's going to play it safe. All of JDG are just backing up and being very cautious about their positioning. And this is just allowing Team WE to get more resources on the map. We can see that Karis is 1 stack away from completing the row. We can see that Monki is getting a ton of vision on this bot side. Even Cube is farming rather cordially in the top lane. So we're allowing this Scion. Oh, hang on.
Left off Karis, who is not going to be able to realm warp. The fear is going to land. Nonetheless, petrifying gaze perfectly timed from HongQ. And that is clinical from the former Oysters. That is a big chunk of gold going over to a scaling threat of JDG's own.
And that's exactly what we said. JDG's window back into the game was Slayer utilizing the paranoia, looking for a pick. We said it was overloading on a side lane, but catching someone off in rotation, that's just about the same thing. It's just at a different location. So really good eye there from JunJia to focus onto Karis without that flash, crucially for the Rise as well. Does give them a kill and allows HongQ to pick up a wave on top of the kill gold that he got, so this will force WE to kind of play catch up around 90 seconds ahead of this dragon, but nothing I would say majorly consequential is going to come of this if Team WE can get some control of this river by the time this dragon spawns.
JDG still have the strength of these solo lanes on their side. It's what's keeping the gold lead decently close as well. Blighted Jewel early on here for the Cassiopeia of HongQ, recognizing that he is going to have to be the one that does a lot of damage to people like Arha and Cube in these fights for JDG, as it's Monki and Arha that have dismantled all of the red wards left up for JDG in this river.
Yep, really good vision clearing here from Team WE, and you can see that JDG look completely dissuade from being able to even contest this dragon. And to their credit, it is only the second Drake for Team WE, but I feel like this is a mountain dragon, and we've talked about the tankiness of this top side being an issue for the damage profile of JDG already, so stacking mountains feels like the dragon JDG don't want Team WE to get. So you're allowed to give this one up, I feel, but anything past this, and me as JDG, I would be getting a little bit concerned in my ability to kill Cube, to kill Monki, and to kill Karis.
Well, luckily for JDG, they did get some very relevant intel thanks to a deep ward. They know Monki was on his Krugs. They now know he's walking over towards his Raptors. So they know that it's not necessarily a huge trap WE are setting, but with the TP of Cube in here, it's gotten a lot harder to walk in, and about getting antsy, already going to aggro onto this dragon. Monki going to do the same here. Do JDG really want to force a fight in uncomfortable scenarios? JunJia does have access to that paranoia if he wants to go for a steal angle, but it's getting lower and lower on the clock, and he's not going to flip even further of this game away. We're tied up at 2 Drakes apiece on each side.
And Cube is just getting that much tankier. JunJia is walking here.
Oh, Dredge line is just a bit short there from Arha, so no pick there onto the Nocturne. Give him a taste of his own medicine.
And it felt like that fight wasn't really possible because JDG didn't have Xiaoxu available with them. They didn't have the shield from the teleport either. So the Renekton, I think, is deceptively squishy in this game. You look at his health bar and think, he can survive pretty nicely, right? But he's going to go down, I think, faster than a lot of people assume he'll go down. So I feel the Renekton is squishier than we imagine, and him not being able to join up with the rest of the team does mean JDG can't really pull the trigger. Second Drake over to WE. That Baron is still up, and now that we have kind of coasted close to this 25-minute mark, Slayer, these death timers are going to start to get longer. If Team WE can start to set up vision around this top side, maybe look for a pick using Arha's Dredge line, or potentially even just like a Rune Prison from Karis, I think they could turn on to that objective and maybe force JDG to respond. Maybe they don't get the objective, but more fights at this point, I think, is what WE want to do, because JDG for the last 5 or so minutes haven't really been giving them the opportunity to continue playing aggressive.
JDG does benefit from getting items further unlocked on a lot of their carries. Yeah. Not necessarily Xiaoxu. He is very strong at this current point, level 16, and while he doesn't have a black cleaver to cut through a lot of Cube's health bar, with enough slices, this Scion will go down, and Cube knows it. He used Unstoppable Onslaught and Flash to get away from the Dominus-led Xiaoxu, who will get his ultimate back up quicker, and now has an advantage for JDG if we see a Baron fight coming up soon.
Yep, but we can see that WE at least are really honing in on this bot side and just looking to control this mid wave. It hasn't seemed like they're paying much attention to trying to get a pick in this top lane. So Baron probably not going to be on the cards, and like you said, JDG scale off of items too, right? We are starting to see some items come through from Gala, even though he has been put behind pretty relentlessly in this game. There is now that LDR to chunk through some of those, tougher HP bars on the side of Team WE. JDG as well. I mean, HongQ has that rod, so we'll have that pen innately on the rise. Just trying to chew through these frontline health bars, but it feels like the big issue right now, Slayer, is about this guy now has endless hunger. This Ezreal has been very well protected in a lot of these fights, and I think that, you get through this front line, but if the Ezreal is just hitting you for a bunch of damage constantly, like, it's not going to matter, I feel.
Definitely needs to be a target onto the 2,500 gold leading Ezreal. JDG definitely can benefit from scaling time, right? We feel like Cassiopeia now on 3 items is pretty scary, but a Rabadon's will always really set in a scaled-up mage, no matter of what type in this Cassiopeia. And while Caitlyn definitely likes to play Quacks early game dominant, early lane dominant, especially with Gala's build, Caitlyn does actually reach a point where she becomes arguably the best AD carry in the game at 5 items. So that's always a threat you have to look out for if we're going to continue this kind of slow pace once we crest the 30-minute mark. But
you only being at around 2.5 items, getting to that 5-item mark is there is always a way, but that dragon threat is really starting to loom. We've got the 3rd one for both of these teams if they manage to capture it in about a minute here. There is some side lane shenanigans happening so far from HongQ. He's probably going to push this wave and then go for a reset paired up with his own jungler. Karis is going to catch it and then try and join with his team. So maybe there's a window for JDG to try and look for Rise, or maybe try and look for an engage, knowing that Karis isn't in the area. But again, it's really, really difficult with how little vision JDG have around the map, especially on this bot lane.
Also makes it a bit harder to go after Karis, knowing that he has, the Seeker's Arm Guard completed. So he can buy himself a couple valuable seconds. It's really useful once you know the Nocturne's going to land on top of you to just say, hey, I'm going to stall out on your initial damage off rip, and we'll see if I have a TP from my top laner come in, or if there's anybody else nearby to try and make sure he's not a good pick target. That, combined with the fact Ezreal is the other main target you have to go after, JunJia's paranoia has become a lot more problematic at this point in the game.
Karis isn't with the rest of his team, and I mean, there is only a couple of seconds until this dragon comes up. So JDG, I feel, are the ones that kind of own the river at the current moment. Cube is forced to walk all the way around, and yeah, Gala, if he can walk up to try and set a trap line, It will be really good for just zoning WE to start this fight on their own terms, like we've said so many times.
Here comes Xiaoxu.
Looking for a flank.
Trap line has been placed here by Gala, making it really hard for any of the front line to walk around. They have to go through a short choke. Monki is going to get around it. Crescent Guard goes up to block HongQ's damage. Perfect Round Gaze does not tag Monki. Lights are going to go out. Dragon is being completely ignored, but Cube's health bar is quickly depreciating. He is down below 20% HP. WE, do they really still want to work this Dragon without their frontliner? Makes it a much tougher task. There's the miasma down for HongQ to stop any of the dashes. And at about 400 HP, JunJia will secure a soul point here for JDG. WE now looking for a turn. They're going to TP Cube back in with a much bigger health bar. Monki goes forward, but he doesn't have the Crescent Guard. He has to rely on his GA. Unstoppable onslaught. Going to split JDG right down the middle.
HongQ
clapped by the Root Prison. Eats the depth charge knockup. They're going all out for HongQ. How long can he really stall here, though? Looks for the turn, but Karis will cut him down to size. And on the other side of the fight, it's just Arha and Monki flexing their muscles. JDG scatter in all directions. They get onto Soul Point, but lose the end of the fight.
I absolutely think it's worth it for them, though. They only lose their mid laner, and WE are staying really late.
Flashes away from Gala. JunJia does get dredgelined by Arha. But without either their Cassiopeia or the Renekton, how do they really make this fight work? Monki's Crescent Guard comes back up, and Vampire ends up going down. 20 seconds before HongQ comes back up. WE have a 3 versus 5 on the map right now.
I don't think they can necessarily go for a Baron without it feeling forced, but they can probably go for a tier 2. That's exactly what they're going to do. So this will fall. They're walking toward the Baron, but JunJia is crucially still up. I think if they got that pick onto Nocturne, this would be a play that I have full confidence in. But Slayer, this feels a little bit risky. JunJia with no flash. Paranoia's coming off of cooldown. He's not going to risk it. They are just going to get the Baron.
2 great picks, and WE have the Purple Worm on their side.
Wow.
4,000 gold lead, but this game is still on a knife's edge nonetheless. Clear win cons for both of our teams.
For sure, but it feels like the win con for JDG. For the longest time, a lot of the reasons they've won the fight is because Xiaoxu was able to kind of pop off, but so far, this Croc is starting to get starved, frankly. I mean, he's looking for food in his swamp, and he's coming up empty. He's having ice soup at this point. So it feels like that is kind of running on empty. Meanwhile, you know, we saw the Shojin build for Ezreal before we went to this replay, and this beginning of the fight looked really rough. Like, we missed the dredge line. Cube gets chunked out. I'm actually surprised they ended up staying to try and go for this dragon. I was thinking they might pivot toward the mid wave, but yeah, Smite Bite goes the way of JunJia, but then they decide to go for a fight here. And even this, I'm like, oh my god, it's going to be JDG clawing the game back. But then I think HongQ flashing to the right could have saved him. He flashes to the left, completely isolated from the rest of his team, so he gets taken down and is basically the only casualty of this fight. And now, back to live, WE have taken a tier 2 on the bot side. JDG are pushed back to their base, forced to defend against these Baron minions.
There is a very, very deep ward for JDG. See it very far down the bot lane river if they really want to try and look for a flank that they've been desperately chasing in these last couple of fights, but they have way too many waves to deal with here as the assault on 2 fronts continues to mount aggression. Both the bot lane and mid lane tier 3 turrets are very close to falling, and about will cut the first one down here. Right in time, Karis and Cube will finish off the other. They're going after the inhibitors now. JDG look completely terrified to slow down this push.
I mean, Xiaoxu is looking for a flank, but this is not going to pan out. WE are just going to go double inhib. They're going to reset, and they're probably going to re-establish control over this bot side. Maybe they send Cube up toward the top lane, or someone from Team WE to catch this wave, because there is a bit of free farm for WE on that top side. But nope, it looks like they're just deploying everyone toward this mid lane. They do not want to give up any space around this dragon, and they definitely want to get Xiaoxu.
Flash. All right, he slices over the wall, so dashes out, doesn't have to use that key flash. Cube just uses his ultimate here, and that will kind of stifle any sort of further WE aggression, at least in mid and bot lane. They can't push on the Nexus turrets at this current point, and they have to collect waves here towards the top side. The Baron, it's too little too late. They're not going to get a Baron wave up towards that tier 2 turret. So JDG don't have to face a potential triple inhib threat here from the Baron, as Monki choked down to about half HP.
Monki does have that GA as well. He will have that second chance at life, but you have to believe he wants to use that if there is, in fact, a fight on this dragon in about 30 seconds. WE are going to stay on the top side just to collect gold for the tier 2 and give about maybe a reset, an injection of money before a fight starts here. But because all of Team WE were on that top side, Slayer, I mean, look at Vampire. He's going to be able to set up some vision around this bot side river. They're not going to be able to get the empowered scuttle, though. So WE, if they get that, should be able to clear out any of the wards that are placed there. But even just giving JDG a foothold in this river, especially with how ahead you are in this game, it leaves me a little bit nervous, Slayer.
I'm nervous because if JDG really force this fight, they lose, the game is over, and WE's lost streak finally ends. They're looking to just corral him here first here. Ensemble onslaught. Dreadslide does land onto JunJia. Monki's going to flash after HongQ on his own with that Crescent Guard. Does not get stuck by the Petrified Gaze, but all JDG do push Monki off him. He goes to the GA as he dashes forward. Xiaoxu goes after About on the back. About seems safe, but look at the healing, the Sterex. Xiaoxu has bought a ton of time as Gala does get rid of Monki. Now JDG have to kite back. Arha looking for a big Dreadslide, but the minion wave's in the way. Realm Warp is just a fate only push through for Cube as the Karma Mantra shields and speed ups do get JDG out, but WE lose their jungler as the Mountain Soul Drake for Jindong Gaming is up on the Rift.
Yeah, but they feel comfortable going for it anyway, I think. Monki is dead and he is down, but look at the waves pouring into JDG's base. They've got to play maintenance around that area, so they can't afford to give that up to get to the dragon to deny the soul point coming here from WE. So good decision-making from WE, understanding what JDG's priorities are and that they can't actually contest this dragon, but a little bit of a hasty decision there from Monki, if I'm being completely honest with myself. I think that he assumed the rest of WE would be able to back him up, but they were zoned off by Xiaoxu. That Renekton bought a lot of time for the fight, and so it does end up just being a 1-for-1, but the big thing, no soul for JDG, and WE are still 5.6k gold ahead of their counterparts.
And they still got supers pouring down mid and bot lane, the lanes away from Baron Pit, where the Purple Worm will re-emerge in 30 seconds time. JDG desperately trying to get waves in better spots here, but WE are unrelenting in their pushes here. Only thing we really hope for is do JDG get any key item breakpoints through before this fight comes. I do see that both Gala and HongQ have gotten onto 4 items. It's the rapid fire cannon for Gala, and HongQ has the Zhonya's completed as well. So we are getting towards a point where Gala's damage is starting to become pretty reliable. I believe he is at full crit strike chance with this build pack.
Yeah, he is. That's 100% crit for Gala, but no flash on the Caitlyn leaves him very susceptible to just getting dredge-lined.
Here we go.
Or depth-charged by Arhaz. Yep, Baron started. JDG, this is their last opportunity, but it's already gone.
It's already gone. And now they're going to get turned on here. Cube tries to lead the charge here. JDG playing a bit more patient. The Realm Warp comes out. Gala does not get Dredgeline, but they have HongQ!
Oh, they got HongQ!
Karis blows him up! There's a no Cassiopeia left. Xiaoxu's going to try to trade out Arha, but they're going after the support. And look at all the damage About pushing through. Gala will find the headshot onto Arha. It has to be Gala to carry this fight. About takes another chunk. There goes Karis. The Realm lands! About gets rid of Gala! JDG lose both of their damage dealers, and WE are going to push down mid lane to end their torrential loss streak!
It's still, though, a 3v4. JDG can try to hold on, but there's Baron minions. An inhibitor is going to respawn. It's all about JDG trying to buy the time, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it. Cube TPs. He's at full HP with the teleports. Yep, the minions are here. It's a 3v4. Can they do it?
No, it's it. That's it. They've got rid of the Renekton. Only the Nexus turret stand in the way. Team WE will not match the LPL's longest loss streak. Here it finally is. Team WE have won a game.
Woo!
Let's go. There we go, fellas. Quacks, that wasn't just a win, man. That was a convincing win for Team WE.
And it came from the source that we said it needed to. About on his Ezreal, peeled in every fight, given space in every fight, given time to grow, given resources in side lanes. Team WE understood the goddamn assignment, Slayer, and they aced it.
They aced it indeed. And it was just a rousing performance here from multiple members, I feel like. Karis was pretty potent here on the rise. Monki was really confident. But for me, Quacks, it's not just about, it was this bottom lane. Arha looked so threatening with this Nautilus, constantly throwing hooks out, zoning Renekton, and then, of course, About. He was at one point 5,000 gold ahead of Gala in this matchup, and he made it count.
I mean, credit to everyone on Team W. I cannot believe that we are getting this hyped, not over a series win, but a game win, Slayer. Like, this
it's awesome, man.
This is so
There's
funny.
no winless teams anymore.
I know. That is great. Congratulations to Team WE. Credit to all of the players. Job's not finished, though. If they win one more game, that'll be a series win, and that will certainly be a story to talk about. But for the side of JDG, a bit of a disconnect from what we were expecting going into this series. I think that Gala, obviously we can meme about the net play, right? That kind of got that domino effect. We talked about a domino effect maybe starting for About, and because it didn't have like any immediate returns in like a 2v2, it absolutely contributed to, or at least started the downfall here for JDG in game number 1. So I also think on top of that, like, Xiaoxu was really absent from being able to carry the game. Like, that Renekton lost relevancy each passing minute and wasn't able to, I think, push forward his advantage enough as a mid-game champion. And HongQ, one of the other main carries that we talked about, wasn't able to push his advantage with the Casio. So credit over to Team WE for playing safe early and then attacking late.
And Quacks, what did I lead this show off with? Accountability is one of my pillars.
Take accountability for your actions.
It is time for me to be accountable, so in case anybody missed it, we're going to roll the clip one more time, and look how silly me and Alk Battery look right about now.
They are now 0-7, 0-14. We have to do the entire second round robin. Do either of you think they are going to win a game? They play BLG and JDG this next week.
Absolutely freaking not.
BLG and JDG against these two?
No, I don't think they're winning a game.
Yeah, so I am very happy to look absolutely silly here, Quacks, and you can be you deserve to be give me the disappointed look. I'm used to seeing that from Coach Quacks, not Co-caster Quacks.
Well, there's first time for everything. All right,
there it is.
I mean,
look at About.
This is so cool. I mean, About 40.3k damage on the Ezreal here to win his team, or contribute to his team win. Because again, I have to emphasize this. The win was a collective effort. About might have been the flashiest member with a 7-1 and 7 scoreline, but Monki was leading the charge. Cube was the frontliner. Karis was able to dish out the damage and frankly was really vital in being able to win that last fight with a clutch flash. And then Arha, you already sung his praises, being able to find those crucial dredge lines and basically make Gala a non-factor in most of the fights here. So everyone on Team WE contributing, and I'm just so happy. Like, first win of the split. It's not a lot, but it means something to us, you know? No winless teams in LPL Ascend. And like we saw Slayer, like, say just in that podcast clip, there were people that legitimately believed that Team WE wouldn't win a single game. How foolish they were.
How foolish they were. Shame on all of you for thinking that. I think the point of emphasis that you're really hitting home here well is that this wasn't just kind of like, even if it is hard in modern League of Legends, I think, to really 1v9 in essence, this one really felt like a collective team win across the board from everybody. And, you know, you talked about how I think HongQ and Xiaoxu don't do a lot in this game, in the fights, but it was the similar formula the JDG saw success with for a lot of the recent series, right? Quacks, their solo lanes were ahead in gold virtually until the last 3 minutes of this game, and it was the bottom lane woes of Gala outside of the Calibrum net backwards. He was invisible, and it's what's going to hold JDG back in this split if it continues to happen.
No, absolutely agree with you. I mean, Monki hated his life on that top side for like the first 10 minutes of the game because his lanes were constantly shoved in, and JunJia was constantly patrolling that side of the map, so you couldn't change the trajectory of the way that the waves were bouncing. So I think that JDG had a formula going into this game, but just didn't stick to it, weren't able to push it enough. I think that HongQ wasn't able to get as fed on the Casio as he would have liked. Xiaoxu wasn't able to be as impactful on the Renekton as he would have liked. So going into game number 2, I think that they just need to kind of hammer home that formula, but be a little bit more active in doing so. Vampire wasn't really able to make his way toward those solo lanes, which is not something that we really touched on in the cast, but you know, in hindsight, was something that I think contributed to the difficulties that HongQ and Xiaoxu faced. They didn't have, I think, the help required to really push their gold leads forward and get that snowball rolling in the solo lanes.
I agree, Quacks. Didn't get to ask who your player of the game you thought would be. It ends up being Arha. You know what? Listen,
you know,
AD carry player here, if you don't know, this is deserved. About doesn't do what he gets to do in this game if he doesn't have the big tank engage tool next to him in Arha. Good for Arha, man. After everything he's gone through coming into this split on a new team with Team WE, he has grabbed his first player of the game under the Team WE moniker.
Team WE have grabbed their first player of the game ever in
True.
split number
Also
2
true.
here. And yeah, I think it is well deserved for Arha to get it. Like we said, crucial on the dredge lines, crucial for zoning Gala, and crucial for just finding those opportunities for the rest of Team WE to capitalize off of. So really well done from him. Really well done from all of Team WE. I have to keep reiterating that. And so, like I said, job's not finished. If they can get a 2-0 over JDG, that would be probably the story of the night, Slayer. We've got 2 series after this, and I think that this would probably make everything look dwarfed in comparison.
I would agree. It would definitely ruin the future of the show after this series. But speaking on the show you are currently watching, LPL English. If you don't know, this is, of course, a fan-run project, and we, appreciate any sort of support you can give us. So here's one way that you can support us if you like LPL English. You can consider becoming a Coffee member. Support us on Coffee. It is the best way to support the LPL English project, since the vast majority of these contributions will go directly back into the show. That's talking about upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it also will pay on-air talent like myself and Quox and many of the other lovely people you see later on tonight, and the content creators. You can subscribe on our Coffee. It is linked in the chat below, and you can unlock perks like early access to the content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews that include all of the biggest players in not just the LPL, but the world stage when it comes to League of Legends. Want to start to Super Saturday, folks. Team WE, winless no more. No terrible records that they'll have to hold under their mantle. Instead, they can look to go for the kill shot against Jindong Gaming. Game 2, JDG Team WE draft, coming up after this break.